Sagare
Hi, and welcome to the Bhagavatam. Today's talk is going to be about prayer. And I think it's a very misunderstood topic. I think we can clarify a lot of things about it today. So most people go and pray because there's something that they want. Something they want from God, from a higher power, something that they're not able to get. Maybe they want to solve a problem. Maybe somebody's sick in your life and you've gone to the doctors, you've taken every action you can, and now you're at your wit's end and you want to be able to find a solution. So you go and pray. That's what most people do. Others will go and pray because they want something. They want something from God, or they want something for their life. They want to get rich. They want to get famous. There's something that they want, and that wanting then has them praying, right? And then we have people who pray as a matter of ritual or a matter of routine. And so we have all kinds of people who go to pray, but what is the right way, and what matters? You might think I have some very big, special answer to give you, but no. The answer is very simple. The prayer is an appeal to God. The only prayer that works, that is successful, that actually lands, is the prayer of the heart. The prayer that is offered with love, with devotion. And love and devotion imply that we have come not to take, but to give. Because love is not about taking something. Love is not what can I get out of you. Love is not about what's in this for me. That's how a lot of people roll with love these days. But that's not love. That's exploitation. That's using something or someone for your own ends. So when you come to God with love, you come from a place of, what can I give to you? How can I serve you? How can I contribute? How can I give to you? You have given me so much. You have given me the very air I breathe. You have made it possible for me to even stand up. It's a miracle that we can even do these things, that our heart beats for 80, 90 years, that we breathe every single day, that it doesn't stop. It is so miraculous that the sun rises and sets. Every little thing about this universe is miraculous. And yet we take it for granted because, it seems to be normal. It seems to be the way it is out here. It's just kind of like it happens. We don't stop to ask what's behind this. And we don't stop to give thanks for what is behind this. So the real prayer is the prayer of love, the prayer of gratitude, the prayer of acknowledgement and validation. Now think about something. We all seek certain things, don't we? We seek happiness. Why? Because it is the nature of God. Sat Chit Ananda. Ananda refers to bliss. That is the nature of God. Sat means that which is eternal, that which is true. Chit means that which is consciousness. And Ananda is bliss. Three qualities that are given in the Vedas, primary qualities that determine the nature of God. Sat Chit Ananda, eternality or truth, consciousness, one that is conscious, and bliss. Now we seek happiness. All of this country, in America especially, and they've spread this disease to the whole world, the pursuit of happiness. Pursuit of happiness cannot happen without suffering. Happiness and suffering go hand in hand. You can't separate one from the other. Light and shadow go hand in hand. Good and bad go hand in hand. Right and wrong go hand in hand. You cannot separate them. If you seek right, you will get wrong. If you seek happiness, you will get suffering. If you seek health, you will also experience disease. If you seek youth, you will also have to experience old age. It's inevitable. The only way out is to become free of all these concepts. So anyways, we seek for happiness because it is the nature of God. We seek for love because it is the nature of God. And we seek for validation because every human being seeks validation. Why do we try to make money? Why do we try to look good? Why do we do anything we do? Try to be successful? Because we seek validation. Behind all the other things we might say we seek, comfort, so security, safety, whatever it might be. But behind it all, when we aspire in a big way, we seek validation. We want to be liked, to be loved, to be appreciated, to be valued. Where does this come from? Also from God. Not that God needs it, but that in validating God, we actually elevate ourselves. How do we do that? Because we now come to the resonance of God. In loving God the way God loves us, we come to the resonance of God. In being happy for no reason at all, we come to the resonance of God. You come to the resonance of God by learning to vibrate in a particular frequency, and that frequency can be best learned from God. Because that's why we come to God. Not to take, but to learn how to be, how to live, and how to exist as godly beings. To be godly doesn't mean to be good, nor does it mean to be bad. It simply means to learn how to be the way God is, to be the way and it begins with the soul. You begin to learn how to be with your soul. So quieting your mind, learning how to be at peace, and then learning to live from that inner space, that is just the beginning. And then as we go further, by reading texts like the Bhagavatam, we begin to understand the deeper intricacies. Now what we're going to talk about today in the Bhagavatam is intricate. It is ancient. And it may seem very foreign to you. And you may think, oh, what do I need all this for? But please be patient and wait for the nuggets of wisdom. And wait for the little lessons that are there contained and woven right into all the stories and all the narratives. Don't be in a hurry. I know there's so much in this world to do, but drop it all, because the magic of the Bhagavatam is such that when it penetrates in through your ears and into your heart, it will awaken that love of God, that divine love that we all seek. All right, so let's get started. Our first chapter is from the Canto 3, chapter 8. Manifestations of Brahma from Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Now trust me, this stuff is not easy to go through. I go through a lot of it for you, make it simple and make it palatable, make it so that you can understand it. But if you ever wish to go through the actual Bhagavatam, yes, I encourage you to do that, but you will find it a lot more difficult. There's a lot more terms to understand. So I hope you'll appreciate the effort that goes into putting all this together for you. Okay, so let's start by the scene. The scene is set a long time ago. We're talking about after the disappearance of Krishna. We're talking about a time where he had left the planet, and now we have this amazing meeting that is taking place between Maitreya Muni, a great saintly person, a great sage with tremendous wisdom, who had been there when Krishna was leaving the world, and Vidura. Vidura was the youngest brother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, around whom the battle of Kurukshetra had taken place. And you've talked about this pretty extensively in the past, so I won't go there. So Maitreya is saying to, the sage Maitreya is saying to Vidura, who's inquiring from him about the nature of the divine, and he says, because of your attempt to understand the transcendental pastimes of God and becoming, the pastimes are actually becoming newer and newer at every moment. That's an amazing statement. These are ancient writings. These are ancient texts. These are pastimes that happened thousands of years ago. And you know something? If you really listen with an open mind, you're going to find that they get sweeter and sweeter. Like reading the Bhagavad Gita or reading the Bhagavatam. I've read it for over a period of 40 years, and I can tell you this. It gets sweeter and sweeter as time goes by. It becomes richer and deeper and more fascinating as time goes by. And that's the nature of something of a higher realm, is that it doesn't subscribe to the normal earthly code, which is as you read it once, you're like bored. You've seen the movie, you've seen it once, you've read the book, you've read it once, it's enough. I don't want to read it again. But these things become sweeter and sweeter with time. And the person who is perhaps explaining them gets to dive deeper and gets to look at it with fresh eyes every time they explain it. So that's what's happening to Maitreya here. He's experiencing a richness as he begins to narrate these pastimes to Vidura. He continues, Maitreya, the great sage Maitreya continues saying, let me now begin speaking on the Bhagavad Purana. This is what we're reading from. And this was spoken originally by Bhagavan, the Supreme Being, for the benefit of those entangled in extreme miseries for the sake of very little pleasure. Now, it is the vision of wise, saintly people that we live in a world of extreme misery. You may say, no, I've got a good thing going. I've got a good job. I've got a good business. I have a wonderful partner. I have a lovely home. As I was saying earlier, whatever you have that is wonderful, whatever you have that is good, it's a double-edged sword. It comes with two sides. Light comes with shadow. Happiness comes with distress or suffering. Youth comes with old age. They come together. There is no having one without the other. So therefore seek neither happiness nor sorrow, seek neither light nor darkness. Seek to go beyond these dualities. Okay, so that's what we're getting at. That those who are entangled in extreme miseries, for them this is the medicine in this age of Kali that we live in. Maitreya says, the same questions about the nature of the Supreme, Vasudeva, Krishna, Vishnu, these are different names of God, were first asked by the four sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, to Shankarshan, who is seated at the bottom of the ocean. Now, I'm going to show you Shankarshan and you'll be quite amazed. So these four Kumaras, the four sons of Brahma, Brahma being the creator of this universe, and every universe has another Brahma, someone who's been given the task, someone like you and me, but who's been highly empowered, who has developed tremendous skill in meditation and mystical power, and now is empowered to be able to create universes. Just as we create our world, we create our universe, YOUNIVERSE, we create our universe, and then we live in it, and we're the queen of that universe. Brahma creates all these universes. You may think you're a god, but you're only the god of your universe. Brahma is the demigod in charge of the entire universe, the galaxies, the solar systems, all of that. And then there are thousands of such Brahmas. So anyway, he's saying his sons, four sons, they went to Shankarshan, and in a minute I'll be telling you who's Shankarshan, because that's a strange story right there. But anyways, so when they asked the question, the four sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, to ask the question to Shankarshan, all the great yogis came down to hear this, because Shankarshan was sitting at the bottom of the universe. Now, there's something about the Ganga, the river Ganga. Some of you may have heard about it. Ganges is how in English they call it. Ganga is the original word. Someone once said ganja. I said, no, ganja is marijuana. Ganga, Ganga. So the river Ganga, which you find in India, is said to originate at the lotus feet of Vishnu. Vishnu is universes away. And it is said, whoever touches the water of the Ganga to his head surely touches the lotus feet of Bhagavan, or the Supreme Being, and can become free from all effects of karma and sinful acts. It's really amazing. However, the important thing is that even though one becomes free of all karma, one must stay without committing any more. Because if you commit more, well, then you're back again in the cycle of birth and death. And here you are. So it is said this river is said to be celestial because it flows throughout the universe. It is said to go from the feet of Vishnu to the head of Shiva and from the head of Shiva it comes down the Gangotri all the way down the Himalaya mountains on this earth, but is said to be in all other planets as well. I don't know, at least the higher planets. And maybe they won't find it in Mars. I don't know about these things, but this river is said to be celestial because it flows throughout the universe, and sages use their mystic yogic powers to travel all over the universe via this sacred river. Now, perhaps this is a mystical thing. It may not be literal. You don't see rivers flowing through the cosmos, we don't see that. But maybe there is an energetic flow that arises from the feet of Vishnu and which goes through the entire universe. And perhaps that is how the yogis travel. They travel on this, through this river, and they can land up anywhere at any time. So as soon as this question was being asked, millions of miles away, they landed a whoop in a second, right? At this time, when the four sons of Brahma, the Kumars, asked Shankarshan about the nature of Bhagavan, great sages from Satyaloka, that is the planet of truth, that is the highest planet in the universe, came to the Ganga, to that spot, to listen. At that time, Shankarshan, with his thousands of raised hoods, began to radiate an effulgence from the glowing stones on his head. Okay, now the mystery. Who is Shankarshan? Getting there. Okay, so first, before we go there, I want to kind of introduce you to a number of other people as well. This is Brahma. You're going to come across him in the course of this narration. This is Vishnu, lying down on the causal ocean on the snake, Shankarshan. Shesha is the other word. Shesha or Shankarshan, Ananta Shesha. There are many names. Why is there a snake involved with Vishnu? We shall get to that. The real answer is perhaps very unusual, and it has to do with, this is Vishnu lying down, and from whose navel arises Brahma, and Brahma then creates all the universes. It's Vishnu with Lakshmi at his feet and lying down on the serpent Shesha on the causal ocean. So, how does one explain any of this? I can try my best, but then we'll see how it goes. So, this experience here that we're talking about of Shesha Nag he's called. Well, let's begin with the Bhagavatam, and I'll come to it. So Brahma, through his meditation, began to see that all the universes occupied the unlimited length and breadth of the body of Vishnu, who was lying down on the serpent Sheshanag. The atmosphere was illumined by the rays of the jewels bedecking the hood of Shesha, and that illumination dissipated all darkness. The luster of Vishnu's transcendental body mocked the coral mountain's beauty. He then saw Vishnu's lotus feet, which blessed those who worship him with pure devotion by freeing them from material contamination. The splendor of the transcendental rays from his moon-like toenails and fingernails appeared like petals of a flower. He then saw his beautiful smile, which was dazzling due to the rays from his lips that vanquish all distress. So, what is the symbolism of a snake doing here? In a lot of things in yogic practice also, there is the symbolism of the snake. You've heard of Kundalini Yoga, the rising of that energy that comes from the base of the spine. If you look at here, Shesha is located at the bottom of the universe, lying down on the causal ocean, and from on top of whom is Vishnu. Now, a snake is something most people would be afraid of. And if I treat this in a little metaphysical way, I would say Vishnu is fearlessness personified. We live in a world of fear. We are constantly in fear. Fear breeds anxiety. Fear breeds depression. Fear breeds loss. Fear breeds our entire experience of being human. And yet, so what we do is we do everything we can to avoid fear. If we saw a snake, we would try to avoid it. If we saw anything that would cause us death or loss or suffering, we avoid it. We do everything we can to avoid suffering. I know a lot of people who, even just to avoid their emotions, will intoxicate themselves, get drunk or stoned or whatever it is that they might do, will try any way to escape. In fact, almost everything we do is a way to escape. To escape what? Ourselves, our mind, our inner criticism, our inner judgment. We do everything we can to escape instead of sitting and facing it and being with it and developing our inner strength and power. See, but you might say, well, I'm so small, I don't have the power, I can't deal with my mind. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can deal with your mind and you can conquer it. And for one who has conquered the mind, it will be the best of friends. And for one who has failed to do so, it will be the greatest enemy. That's what Krishna tells us. So it's really important that we know that this world is full of fear. And Vishnu is lying on a bed of snakes, hundreds of snakes, and forming a hood just around him. No fear, fearlessness. So at a metaphysical level or metaphorical level, one might say, this is the symbolism of fearlessness. On the other hand, it's possible that it's literal. I don't know. And I'll leave that to you to figure out. But I really would like to just leave it as it is and say it's literal, it's exactly as it's said. However, I'll leave the rest to you. What we do know is this, the incredible beauty of Vishnu. And it talks about how his lotus feet bless those who worship him with pure devotion by freeing them from material contamination. These things matter. It is not that God is someone who is fearful, but rather, or to be feared, but rather someone who is to be loved, who is all attractive. We come to the next chapter, Brahma's prayers. So now Brahma is praying. And with Brahma's prayers, I wanted to bring up a little more about prayer. That prayer needs to be nishkam, without an agenda, without any motive. Then it is pure. But when it is with a motive, I know there are times we need something, and that's fine. But by and large, one should practice glorifying God without an agenda. So Brahma says, after many years of penance, I have come to know about you. So Brahma actually meditates for what would be millions of years in our time, but many years of his time. He says, you are the absolute truth and the ultimate goal of knowledge. You are the Lord of the cosmic manifestation, and yet you are free from the influence of material contamination. Isn't that fascinating? You are the Lord of the cosmic manifestation, and yet you are free from the influence of material contamination. How is that possible? Well, think about it like this. If the governor of the town went to the jail, the governor is not in the jail, or the prime minister or president or whoever it might be. That person is not in the jail. If the police person went there, they're not in the jail. They're just visiting. So when Vishnu comes here, he comes in his original transcendental form. He's just visiting. He's not in here, in the material world, as a material being, although he may appear in front of us, like Vishnu may show himself to Brahma, or Krishna may show himself to people out here on earth. It doesn't mean that he's become physical flesh and body like us, flesh and blood body like us, but rather he is come in his original spiritual form. That is why Krishna never ages. That is why he looks eternally youthful. Nava Yovana, that is the term used. Eternally youthful. So he says, you are never contaminated by the material manifestation. You never come under its influence. Like all of us, we are under the influence of this material world. We are influenced by its energy. We are influenced by the thoughts, the emotion. And it's not just as simple as, the stuff that comes up on media or television or magazines or books or social media or whatever else. It's the world itself. Even if you didn't have any of that, we would be under its influence. And Brahma is going to talk a lot about that. So he says, but unlike us, you don't get affected by any of that. You appear before us, he says, to bless us with your mercy. Your form arises from your internal potency. Now there's the internal potency of God, and there's the external potency. The external potency is known as Maya, and the internal potency is Yoga Maya. And the internal potency is where all the avatars of God come from. The external potency is what the entire material universe comes from. So he says, your form arises from your internal potency, which is unchangeable, filled with bliss and knowledge. You manifest this auspicious form so that we may meditate on you. So here's another big indicator. Why does God take a form? So that we can meditate on him. Because it's very hard for us to meditate just on nothing. Right? So it helps us to be able to meditate. We all begin by meditating at his feet, and then going up all the way to that beautiful smile, those beautiful eyes, and we meditate on God. By taking a form, we're actually able to connect more deeply. We're able to relate more intimately. We're able to understand God as one of us, or we are one of God, however you want to look at that. So he says, you manifest this auspicious form so that we may meditate on you. I surrender to you because I am proud of my material body and senses. Such a powerful point here. I surrender to you because I am proud of my material body and senses. Think about it. What are you proud about? And how much does our world encourage us to be proud of our achievements, of our possessions, of our body, to think that this is what matters in life, this body, these things we have. And yet they're the things we work so hard to get and then to keep, and then ultimately we leave them all behind. It seems like such a joke being played on us. So he's pointing out that you manifest that, I surrender because I am proud of my material body and senses. We're all caught up in this, and including Brahma. And so the pathway out of this aham is to come to the place of recognizing that I am just as you are, God. I surrender to you. Why is surrender important? Because in surrender, I empty the cup of my ego and I fill it up with your presence. Surrender is an emptying process. It's not a giving up process, as some people think. It's an emptying process. It's a process of coming to the place of nothingness. What the Buddhists and the Advaitavadis, the teachers of the oneness philosophy, will tell you is coming to that place of nothingness through meditation practices and so on. But the bhakta, the devotee of God, does it through surrender. And the ultimate love is surrender. And when you surrender to God, God surrenders to you. When you give yourself to God, God gives him and herself to you. That's the beauty of it all. This is not a one-way street. Surrender is the process of letting go all your anarthas, all the unwanted things in your heart. It is a process of cleansing and releasing and letting go all the useless stuff. What is the useless stuff? This ego, this I, me, and mine. Letting it go. Because it's not serving you in any way. It isn't you in any case. And it has not helped you for thousands and thousands of lifetimes. So it's better to come back to the real place that matters, which is surrender. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, one who surrenders to me, he says, give up sarva dharma parityaja, mamekam sharanam vraja. Sharanam means surrender. So he says, give up all your dharma, all your religion, all your duties, all your responsibilities, all that you think, all that you are. Surrender unto me. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. I will free you from all pap, from all sinful, from all karma. Moksha ishamima shuchaha. And I will give you moksha, liberation, freedom from all the suffering of this world. So, and here is Brahma the greatest being in the universe, surrendering to God. The people of the world are plagued by material anxieties and are always afraid, Brahma says. In fact, it's so true, right? We are always plagued by material anxieties and we're always afraid. They try to protect wealth, body, and friends. They are filled with lamentation and material desires and paraphernalia. Greed and avarice make them attached to me and mine. They are constantly perplexed by hunger, thirst, severe cold, cough, secretions, and bile, attacked by freezing winter, scorching summer, rains, and many other disturbing elements. They are overwhelmed by strong sexual desires and indefatigable anger. I am very much aggrieved for them. So he's feeling tremendous empathy seeing the suffering of living beings, and yet he's in the process of creating the universes into which those living beings will come to go through all of this. So you might say, why would you create universes and why would living beings need to go? Because all of us are here experiencing these sufferings, not because God wants us to suffer, but because God wants us to realize that this is not where it's at. The happiness we seek, the freedom we seek, everything we seek cannot be found here. It can be found, but not here. And to find it, we need to be able to try a different pathway. The pathways we've been walking on, the pathways of material struggle, the pathways of acquiring, of trying to become something, of trying to have something, of trying to do something and achieve something, have not led us to the places we want to go, to the happiness we want to have, to the love we want to get. They haven't taken us there. And so Brahma is feeling tremendous compassion. Creating the universes for him is giving an opportunity for all living beings to aspire towards moksha and liberation, to get out of here. A very interesting point to consider is this. This Kali Yuga, the time we live in, is perhaps the most difficult of all times. We think it's easy because we have all these grand illusions with our technology and the comforts we've created from air conditioning and cars and products of all kinds to make our lives easier. Yes, on one hand we've done that, but we've also created an equal amount of suffering for millions of people across the world who don't even have enough food to eat. And even for ourselves, even though you may have everything, you've created suffering for yourself because everything goes hand in hand. Light goes with shadow. I'm repeating the point, but I really want to drive it home. The so-called happiness you get or the wealth you get goes with its own share of suffering. Everything has its opposite side by side. You cannot have a light without it giving a shadow. It will always give a shadow. You cannot have a day without a night. You cannot have life without death. They all go hand in hand. So these are really important things to consider. And once you understand them, you'll be able to know that we are able to do this, to understand this, because this is the nature of this world. And once we get it, then we start seeking how to get out of it. So this Kali Yuga, which is full of so much of misery, is also given, or within it is given, the greatest way to get out of here. In earlier times, they spent years meditating, not years, maybe decades meditating, hundreds of years maybe, and they lived that long. They had so many different practices. That's in Satya Yuga. Then in Dwapar Yuga, it was all about rituals and different practices, and they were very elaborate and expensive, and you had to do so much stuff. And then came the Dwapar Yuga, and in that time it was about temple worship and so on. And again, there was, big grandiose worship and form. But in this particular age, the Kali Yuga, the process of liberation has been made more simple than ever. And that process is simply by chanting the names of God, by hearing about him, by speaking about him. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. We will remember. So even if you don't have the inclination right now to chant the names of God, listen to Kirtan, Kirtan, Kirtan. You will find all kinds of Kirtan music, especially Krishna Kirtan, and listen to it. It's the chanting of the names of God incessantly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If you can find this mantra, I find that the most beautiful and most satisfying. And kirtan around that is just amazing. So listen to that, and what will gradually happen is it will embed itself within your head, and then gradually all the chatter will stop. And as the chatter ceases, you will find yourself simply in that name, and that name will become your daily practice, and it will fill you with its presence. Try it out. So Brahma continues talking about the challenges that the living entities face. He says they engage their senses in very troublesome and extensive work, and they suffer insomnia at night because their intelligence constantly breaks their sleep with various ideas or mental speculations or images or dreams. They are frustrated in all their various plans by a supernatural power. That power is called Maya or illusion. So the world is set up in such a way that we can try all we want, but we'll never, it's like a mirage. You can try all you want, trying to get to that water in the mirage, but there's nothing there. You get there and you find there's nothing there. You get the things you want, you get the partner you want, you get the house you want, you get the things you want, and there's nothing there. The happiness that you got was momentary. It was probably there for a moment while you were trying to get it, or when you just got it, and maybe for a little while longer, and then it's gone. And now you're on to the next thing, and the next, and the next, and the next. And that's how your life goes by. And then suddenly you're old and you're dying, and like, why was I doing all this? For what? So therefore, we need to wake up now. Brahma continues. Material miseries are without factual existence for the soul. This is a big point. Material miseries are without factual existence for the soul. In other words, for all the suffering that your mind has and your body has and all the stuff that you're engaged in, your soul's just been a witness. It's like, when is he or she going to wake up? When are we going to stop playing this game of Maya, of illusion? How long are we going to sit and watch this movie of life? And when are we going to get down to the real business? And you'll notice that whenever you hear something that is of a truly spiritual nature, your soul wakes up. It could be a book, it could be music, it could be a mantra, it could be nature. Your soul wakes up. But he says here, material miseries are without factual existence for the soul. As long as the conditioned soul sees the body as meant for sense enjoyment, he cannot get out of the entanglement of material miseries, being influenced by your external energy. Allow me to explain this. As long as the conditioned soul sees the body as meant for sense enjoyment, so as long as we're seeing this body and thinking that this here is for, I'm here to enjoy myself, I'm here to have a good time, I'm here to party and celebrate and enjoy, one cannot get out of the entanglement of material miseries, being influenced by the external energy. So the external energy, or Maya, has got a hold of us, making us think and believe and feel that if I could just enjoy myself, I'd be happy. But you've been doing it now, however old you are, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, however old you are, you've been doing it for so long. Perhaps you've been doing it for so many lifetimes. Are you happy still? Can you say you have steady happiness consistently day after day after day? No. There's always some problem. But here's what I can share with you. Once you find your soul, once you find that inner space, once you find that relationship with God, then every time you tune into that channel, you're going to find happiness, you're going to find peace, you're going to find bliss, you're going to find love, you're going to find everything you ever desired. It's sitting there, just about turning the dial, and it's there. That thing that you've been seeking all along was right here, was waiting for you, and still is, right? You can go to it once a week if you like. You can go it once a day if you like. You can go it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or you can choose to be there throughout the day. And you might say, well, oh, wait a minute. How can I be there throughout the day? I mean, I have things to do. Well, that's why Krishna talks about karma yoga in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, whatever you do, do it as an offering unto me, so that you spiritualize everything you do. Every contact you have with another person, every activity you do, you begin to practice seeing the divine or God in each and every moment, in each and every place, in each and everything, and in each and every one. That is the practice of karma yoga. It is practical. Krishna never told Arjuna to leave the battlefield and go away and sit in meditation. He said, no, fight the battle. In the battle, find God. You might say, this is ridiculous. How can you be in a battle and find God? Well, talk to samurai warriors. Talk to people who've practiced these ancient arts. And you'll find out that when they do their martial arts, or when they do any kind of, these are spiritually based. They are based on a high level of focus. They are based on a high level of meditation and dhyan. And much of the power of the warrior comes from that meditative state. And so it is with anyone who is great in their field. And ask an artist, ask a musician, ask anyone who is great in this field. They have learned to dive so deep into that they transcend time and space. You might have experienced this with a lover. You might have experienced this when you're eating food or cooking it or in the gardening. People experience it at different places at different times. Some experience it while surfing. Others experience it in nature. These are just little glimpses. But now take those glimpses and expand them everywhere. Don't make that one activity your church or your temple. Expand it everywhere. Make everywhere your temple, your church, your mosque, whatever it is you believe in. Make everywhere your place where you connect with the divine, rather than just this one little thing here or there. Even great sages, if they are against your transcendental topics, must rotate in this material world. He says the great sages who might be great meditators, who might have achieved great mystical qualities, if they haven't learned to relish the transcendental topics about the divine, about God, about Sri Krishna, they will still continue to rotate in this material world. Rotate meaning rotate in the cycle of birth and death. As long as they do not chant and hear about your transcendental activities and take shelter of your lotus feet, they will unfortunately remain bereft of good sense. Then they will engage in enjoying temporary sense gratification and once again be filled with anxiety. Your devotees can see you and smell the aroma of your lotus feet by hearing the Vedic mantras through the holes of the ears. So they can see you and smell the aroma of your feet by hearing. So this is where all the senses now start to come together, by hearing the Vedic mantras through the holes of the ears. By the way, this Bhagavatam they're hearing, these are the Vedic mantras, just translated into English, simplified a little bit, and presented to you. You are hearing through the holes of your ears, just as he says here, the Vedic mantras. And thus their hearts become cleansed, and you take your seat there always. So as our heart becomes cleansed of all these desires and all these misgivings, Krishna finds his way into our heart. We begin to experience his presence here, and it's something that becomes not just something you visit once in a while, but is always there, always available, always wanting to connect with you, always wanting to be with you, always wanting to hang out with you. That's the relationship now with God. Brahma continues, by your own will, so by his own will, he's telling Vishnu this, you appear, so this is his prayers to Vishnu, this is how he's praying to him. By your own will you appear in various species of living entities, amongst the animals, amongst the human beings, as well as amongst the demigods, to perform your transcendental pastimes. Vishnu comes as a fish at one time, as Matsya when the great flood occurs. He comes in as Kurma, as a tortoise. Then he comes as Hayagriva, as a horse. Then he comes in just so many different forms, right? So he comes in animal form, he comes in bird and fish, he comes as human, he comes amongst the demigods to perform his transcendental pastimes. Why does he take these different forms? That is to show us that he's not limited by any form, that these are all pastimes. This is Leela, and he's here to play. and to enjoy different ways. Like, why just come in one form? That's boring. Why come in one outfit? We all like to dress up and put on costume and go out on Halloween or do some kind of thing like that. We like to dress up. We like to be something other than who we are. Actors and actresses love to do that too. Well, the ultimate actor is God. He loves to take on various roles, various costumes, and come and do various pastimes and act things out. So he says, you come here to perform your transcendental pastimes. You are not affected by material contamination. You come just so people seeing him here think, oh, he's become material, he's become human, he's become. No. He's come in his original form. You come just to fulfill the obligations of your own principles of Dharma. What are those principles, he says? Dharma, to establish Dharma in the world, to establish that there should be some sanity out here. We're not going completely crazy. And if we are, well, then just wipe it out and get started all over again. Don't worry about the planet. Worry about ourselves. We are the ones who are in trouble, not the planet. It's a lot of people who have this strange idea that, oh, we got to save the planet. Don't worry about the planet. The planet's been around millions of years, and it will be there for millions of years, and it will do just fine with or without us. But we're the ones in danger. We're the ones who are facing extinction on this planet. Just there's a little side note there. I offer my obeisances unto you for manifesting such different forms. You are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular eternal form of transcendence in which they always think of you. So the idea of coming in these different forms so that we can find the form that most appeals to us and fall in love with God in that form. Brahma continues, you are not satisfied by the worship of the demigods who arrange for your worship very pompously with various paraphernalia, but who are full of material hankerings. You are situated in everyone's heart as the Paramatma, the Supersoul, to show your causeless mercy, and you are the eternal well-wisher of everyone. So why would God be present in everyone? Like, really got nothing better to do or what? Why hang out with us, right? We're some pretty messed up people out here. All of us. I don't just mean any one person. Some are more messed up, less messed up. But even the less messed up ones, the saints, are often messed up. And the sinners are often saints. So you know what? Nobody is one thing or another. Everybody is messed up. So why would God hang out with us? As our eternal companion, as our eternal friend, to show that loyalty, to show that commitment that I will never leave you. I am always here with you. I will never abandon you. And once you really get that understanding, once you really feel and experience that, you will never feel alone in this world. You will never feel unsafe in this world, and you will never feel that you are struggling. You will know that you are supported, you are cared for, and you are loved through all of your challenges. That's why he's in your heart, right? To show his causeless mercy, because he is the eternal well-wisher of everyone, as Brahma says. He continues saying, one who worships you through the fruits of their work, or Vedic rituals, or charity, or austere penances, and transcendental service performed with a view to worship and satisfy you, will gradually come to you. So the idea is that we do everything I do it for you. Right? Remember that song, Bryan Adams? Everything I do it for you. And that's what love is when you do it for God. Everything I do it for you. It's a simple idea. But I think if you grab hold of that, your life will transform. You could do it for another person, but people don't come with guarantees. They might be here today, gone tomorrow. Even if they stay with you your entire life, they'll still be gone at some point, or you'll be gone. But God, that you will always have. That is your eternal treasure. Brahma continues, your incarnations, pastimes, qualities, and activities mysteriously imitate worldly affairs. Yet one who even unconsciously invokes your name at the time of leaving this body is certainly washed of the karma and sins of many births and attains you without fail. What a contrasting statement. Your incarnations, pastimes, qualities, and activities mysteriously imitate worldly affairs. So it looks like it's just one of us doing, fun things. Krishna's here, he's stealing butter, playing with the cows, dancing with the gopis. They're all having a fun, good time. So it appears like, well, what's the difference? Why can't I do the same thing? But the difference is this, that even just by remembering his name at the time of leaving this body, one is washed of all karma and sins and attains to God without fail. That's what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. One who remembers me at the time of leaving this body will enter into my transcendental abode without fail. So imagine the power of that. And now imagine the power of doing this through your entire life, because if you do it through your entire life, well, that's what's going to show up at the time of death. You see, we remember at the time of death, as many have described, our entire life. Well, what was your mind preoccupied with through your life? That's what you're going to remember at the time of death. That then is going to create the energy, the momentum, the consciousness of your next life. And if at that time you have, or rather, if in the course of this life you have been immersed in the serving of God and God's people, then, and by people I don't just mean people who believe the same way you do, I mean everyone, and the animals as well, and the earth as well. If you've been engaged in serving and giving of yourself and contributing as the best as you can, you will find that at the end you will remember God. If you have been hearing his name and pastimes and Leela, you will remember him at the time of death. And at the time of leaving then, because that's what you'll be remembering, you will go back to him. That's his promise. Then Brahma says, I pray only to engage in your service in the creation of the material world. So Brahma is about to create the material world. He has just come into creation, into fruition. Remember this, God doesn't do anything himself. He's just laying on that ocean of, on Shesha. He's just relaxing, chilling out. Other people do the work. He ain't doing nothing. The CEO doesn't go out and do all the work. The CEO supervises, watches, checks it out, sees what others are doing, guides, directs, but does not necessarily go out and do everything. So he says, I pray only to engage in your service in the creation of the material world, because that's what he's about to do, and not to be materially affected by my works. Here he is, the creator of everything, all these universes. You could think, oh my God, I'm so powerful, I'm so great, I'm so amazing. No, he's praying that I not be materially affected by my works, for thus I may be able to give up the false prestige of being the creator. May you be merciful and empower me to create, for I am also one of the souls surrendered to you. The humility, this is just amazing. It has been said that, Christ said this, the greatest amongst you shall be the least and the servant to all. It has been said by Chaitanya as well, that one should think of oneself as lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than a tree. In this way one can chant the name of God constantly. Humility is everything. So Vishnu now replies to Brahma, O Brahma, be neither depressed nor anxious about the execution of creation. What you are asking me has already been granted before. Because Brahma, every day, creates universes. These universes then exist for 4 trillion years. And at the end of that time, that's one day of Brahma, rather half a day of Brahma. That's how long Brahma lives, 4.2 trillion years. And at the end of that, when he goes to sleep, that's the first 12 hours. The next 12 hours, everything is annihilated. And then again, it's recreated all over again. And then again, it's annihilated. And then it's recreated again. You see? It's pretty amazing. Just like bubbles coming out from the breathing of Vishnu. He breathes in, all of it is destroyed. And he breathes out, all of it is created. And he has in each bubble, there is a Brahma, and each Brahma is creating a universe. Go figure. Situate yourself in penance. Now, what is penance? Penance means hard work. We all need to do that. And meditation, focus, right? And knowledge. What knowledge? Knowledge that God is there with us. That's trust. In this way, you will be able to understand everything from within your heart. 3 things I mentioned to you: hard work or penance, meditation, focus, and knowledge or trust. If you have these 3 things, you will be successful at whatever it is you're trying to do in life. If you are focused on what you want to achieve, if you work hard at it, and if you trust that it will happen. 3 things. Everything you desire will come from that. But if you desire God, well then, you will get God. And then he says, in this way, you will be able to understand everything from within your heart. That's a very interesting point there. See, there are things we understand through, let's say, a book or a workshop or a seminar or something like that. But the greatest knowledge, the greatest wisdom is from the heart. When you learn to quiet your mind, you learn to listen to that inner voice, that inner guidance, that inner spirit of God guiding you at every moment, showing you which way to go and what to do. It's powerful, very powerful. And that's what he's saying. The ultimate guidance, the ultimate knowledge, the ultimate wisdom will come from within, not from outside. Learn, therefore, to trust that voice. Learn, therefore, to listen to that voice, and not the noisy voice of your mind, but the quiet, silent voice, the soft whispers of your soul. God talks to you through that. In the course of your creative activities, you will see me within yourself and throughout the universe. You will see that the universe and all living entities are in me, just as fire is situated in wood. So this idea that God is everywhere, sometimes people take it literally and think, oh, well, I can't see nothing out here. I don't see no God out here everywhere in the world. What are you talking about? But he gives you a very good example here. Just as fire is situated in wood. We don't see, when you see wood, you don't see fire. But that very same wood, if you were to ignite it, the fire will come out and emerge. The fire that was already there, that potency, that potential that was there will now emerge. Similarly, the energy of God is everywhere. And you may say, I don't see anything. I just see the world. No, but if you know how to tune in and how to extract that energy, then you will feel the fire of it exploding all around you. It's a beautiful fire. It's not going to destroy anything. It's a fire of life. It's a fire of hope. It's a fire of joy. It's a fire of love. But it is situated everywhere. It is all around you. You're swimming in an ocean of God and wondering, where is God? Then Vishnu continues, only in that state of transcendental vision will you be able to be free from all kinds of illusion. That means you've woken up now. Now you've snapped out of the illusion of Maya. You've snapped out of the matrix, as they say in that movie. You've snapped out of it, and now you are free from the influence of the modes of material nature. You will then realize your true spiritual form in my association. At that time, you will be situated in pure consciousness. Brahma, you are the original sage or rishi, and because your mind is always fixed on me, even though you will be engaged in generating various progeny and universes, the vicious mode of passion, see, when we're creating, you get into this mode of passion where, like, I'm the doer, I made this happen. It can really engulf us. But he says that vicious mode of passion will never encroach upon you. Although I am not easily knowable by the conditioned soul, you have known me today because you know that my personality is not constituted of anything material. Any human being who prays like Brahma and who thus worships me shall very soon be blessed with the fulfillment of all his desires, for I am the Lord of all benediction. The ultimate goal of performing all activities is to invoke my satisfaction. So whatever we do it for his pleasure. Same with this program here. And we're here to support you. Thank you so much for being here. Now, if you have any questions, I'd love to hear. I'm going to take a look at all the questions, the wonderful questions that people have been asking. I'm going to open this up. Let's see. Let's put it on to the chat. Hold on a minute. put on this one here. All right. Cece, you're making a wonderful point. Let me put her comment over here. Cece writes, surrendering to all unwanted things and desires as well. Absolutely. It's not just, surrender is not just about the good stuff. That wouldn't be surrender. Surrender is really learning to see the divine even in the so-called bad things, even in the painful things, even in the troubles of the world, learning to see that there is beauty even within, just as I said, along with happiness, there is suffering. But also along with suffering, there is happiness. You got to know that. They never come separate. They always come together. Along with loss, there is gain. So the moment you begin to have that vision, you realize that even the unwanted things that happen, surrender to them. Surrender means be open to the mystery, be open to the possibility that anything can emerge out of this. Yes, something terrible happened, but I don't know, something amazing might be around the corner. Just the fact that they always go hand in hand. And I never know when it's going to show up, but it will. I trust that. I know that it will happen. Because that's this world. It's the nature of this world. Let's see the next one. Okay. Okay. And then Silly writes, Brahma's creation of universes is traversed by the mystics, may be explained by quantum entanglement, the ability to be at the other or multiple locations in far distances instantly. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for bringing up that term. I wasn't familiar with it. But not only the creation, but the way that the yogis are able to travel from one end of the universe to the other instantaneously is perhaps the way you're describing it, through quantum entanglement and the ability to be in multiple places, in fact, at the same time. This is one of the yoga siddhis, one of the mystical powers that is developed by the yogi. And it's very true. I mean, today's time, people might be able to project themselves somewhere, but these yogis could actually physically be there. Paramahamsa Yogananda even talks about it in his book. And has been known in the Vedas since ancient times that yogis were able to do that. They didn't need airplanes to get somewhere. They didn't need cars to get somewhere. They didn't need to do a road trip, or, they just instantly, boom, decide to go somewhere and you're there. That's it, at the speed of thought. Cindy also writes, by similar means, we too can be in various places through mental intent, desire, or prayer. Does living in Maya, one second, let's bring it up here. Does living in Maya hide where we really are in time, place, and form? Krishna is one with us. So, does living in Maya hide where we are in time, place, and form? Yes, living in Maya, living in this world, hides our true nature. Our true nature is concealed. Our true power is concealed. Our true everything is concealed. We're in this guise of this mask and this, I call it a spacesuit. We're in a spacesuit, this mind-body organism that we live in. And we've identified with this as me. But the fact is it's not. And yes, it's hiding our true nature, where we really are in time, place, and form. And Krishna is one with us, always has been, always will be. He is one and separate, one and different. Right? He is one with us, he is in us, he's in everything, and yet he is separate from it all. Yeah. Okay, Jazz, thank you. I don't know how you got kicked out of or got out of Zoom, but if ever that ever happens, please know that we are always simultaneously broadcasting on Zoom, as well as on YouTube, as well as on Facebook. But yeah, come to YouTube. That's the best. I appreciate that, because that just gets more more people coming to YouTube, and we want to get more and more people to come there. Do watch the rest of the videos, the old ones. If you haven't seen them, they're all on YouTube. There's an entire playlist on the Bhagavatam. And if you have been there for those, then watch the earlier videos of the Bhagavad Gita. They're also there. I've done the entire Bhagavad Gita, just as we're doing the Bhagavatam now. And feel free to enjoy all of that. It's there for you. I wish you a wonderful time. Jai Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna. I'll see you next week. Any